Our next topic up are absolute value inequalities. We'll also touch on equations here real quick with them as well. One of the most important things we need to keep in mind here as we're working with absolute value equations is what is the absolute value of a number? And it is the distance the number is away from zero on the number line. Okay, how many units away from zero is it? Okay, from that definition, we get this. The absolute value of x is equal to x if it's positive. For example, if we took the absolute value of 5, that's equal to 5, 100% of the time. Okay, absolute value of 0 is always 0. That's what the middle of this means. Now, if we took the absolute value of -7, well, the opposite of -7 is +7. So that's where this other definition comes from. -7 is 7 units away from 0 on the number line. 7 to the left. So the absolute value of it is 7. So those are where our definitions of the absolute value of a number comes from. It's the distance a number is away from 0. So as we think of that, let's think about how we're going to solve an absolute value equation. Okay? What this is saying is that ax plus b is c units away from 0. Okay? It's saying that ax plus b is c units away from 0. Okay, so that means either ax plus b is equals positive c on the positive side, or ax plus b is equal to the opposite of c, giving us the negative possibility there. So when we go to solve this, we write it as two equations. So for example, 2x minus 5 equals 9. We're going to solve 2x minus 5 equals 9, or 2x minus 5 equals -9. Okay? The steps, we'll notice, are the same, but since one's positive and one's negative, we will get something slightly different here as our answer. I'm going to add 5 here and add 5 here. Again, we've solved a bunch of equations like this. That gives us 2x equals 14. The inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So we end up getting x is equal to 7. Or, let's go over here again. We'll start by adding 5. That would get us 2x equals -4. Again, there's the difference. We added 5, which was the same, but instead of getting 14, we get -4. 2 times x, the inverse is still to divide by 2. I get x is equal to -2. -4 divided by 2 is -2. So these make up our two possible answers. What happens with those? Well, if we substitute those back into our absolute value equation, we would get 9 or -9 inside the absolute value symbol. And then when we take the absolute value of both of those, we get 9. So these give the values that will be 9 units away from 0. Absolute value inequalities. We have the absolute value of ax plus b is less than c. Okay? This will be rewritten as an and inequality. And ax plus b must be between -c and +c. Okay, so what this is saying is this can be no more than c units away from 0. So we'll have c on both ends, and ax plus b will have to be on the inside. Okay, in order to solve that, we would rewrite this inequality as this. Negative c is less than whatever's inside the absolute value symbol, ax plus b, is less than c. Okay, that's how we would solve the absolute value is less than. Absolute value is less than. Or inequalities are slightly different. Okay, slightly different. This is saying that the distance that ax plus b is away from 0 has to be greater than c. So it has to be either to the right of c or to the left of negative c, which is the less than negative c. So as we go through these, here's how we would rewrite these. Okay? We would write ax plus b is less than, the opposite is c, so we switch the inequality symbol of the original and take the opposite sign. Ax plus b is less than c. Whoops. Or all we do is drop the absolute value symbol and we get ax plus b is greater than c. Those would be the two inequalities that we would need to solve. Here's our examples. I have the absolute value of 2x plus 7 is less than 11. This is an AND inequality. So I have negative 11 is less than. What's inside there? 2x plus 7 is less than 11. So I take the opposite of this number and put it over here to the left, and then rewrite this inequality just without the absolute value symbol. Now I can go ahead and solve this. Again, this is a compound inequality, so we have three spots. I'm going to work from the inside out. I'll subtract 7 from all three places. Negative 11 minus 7 is negative 18 is less than 2x is less than 11 minus 7 is 4. And then we have 2 times x. The inverse of that is to divide, to cancel those out. So divide all three spots by 2. I get negative 9 is less than x is less than 2. And that would be my answer. And we could graph that, but our directions do not tell us to there. Okay. Our OR inequality. We have the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 8. Two inequalities we need. First, 3x minus 2, switch the inequality symbol, and take the opposite. There's one of them. The second, all we have to do is drop the absolute value symbols. 3x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 8. And we have our two inequalities that we will need to solve here. Okay? So first, I'm going to add 2 over here on the left one. We'll solve it first. That leaves me with 3x less than or equal to negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. From here, I'll divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Those cancel out. I get x less than or equal to negative 2. Or, okay, come over to the right. Again, our steps will be the same. We'll just get a different number. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get 3x is greater than or equal to 10. Not negative 6, but 10. Lastly, I'll divide both sides by 3, just like I did in the other one. Gives me x is greater than or equal to 10 over 3. Here is my final answer for that OR inequality. And one final note. Whether it's an absolute value equation or inequality, the very first thing that we have to do is to get the absolute value symbol, which in this case is the 3x, absolute value of 3x minus 5, I have to get that by itself. So before I can solve it, do anything that we've done, the very first thing I have to do is subtract 10 from both sides. That gives me the absolute value of 3x minus 5 is equal to 40. It's equal to 40. Okay. Now we're able to solve it. I'm not going to solve it, but we will set it up. It would be 3x minus 5 equals 40, or 3x minus 5 equals negative 40. And we would go ahead and solve those.